we've done these from EBSCO. Now we're going to add 3 more from Google Scholar. Google Scholar is actually easier to work with for Zotero. All right, Google Scholar is a website from Google, like you would guess, and there's a link in D2L to it, but it's scholar.google.com. And it's really an amazing, amazing tool. We're going to be working with it quite a bit during this course. So I'm going to put my topic in here. And notice I get the same kind of Zotero icon right here. So I can take all the articles that came up on this web page and add them to my Zotero. Each page that I'm on in Google Scholar, I can add those citations from that page. Now, what I'm really going to try to do here is get a couple of these that have PDFs. And you're going to see that unlike EBSCO Host, it's going to add the PDFs in for me automatically. So I'm actually going to take these first 3 just to be convenient. All right, so I click the Zotero icon, and I take these are the 3 that I want. That first one didn't have a PDF. Doesn't mean you can't get it. You could get this one and then go to probably the Millersville Library will have it. You can get it from the Millersville Library and add it in, the PDF in later. But for now, I'm going to add these 3. And I'll get a message down here showing that they've been added. I go to Zotero and let's see, which 3 were they? Murawski, Scruggs, and Austin. Right, so Murawski, Scruggs, and Austin. Okay, I don't know why they are the ones that are highlighted. You can tell they're highlighted. All right. And if I open these up, you see I've got the actual PDF now, which is really nice. So nice to work with Google Scholar. All right, so all ready. And if I click that, boom, I've got my PDF and I can do things with it. All right, I want you to pause the video now and try to get in 3 articles with PDFs, citations from Google Scholar related to the topic that you've been assigned. Right, what we're going to do next and for the rest of this module is show you different ways of organizing information and making notes. All right, so first way you can organize, and actually the least useful, is by creating folders, just like you would with other applications. All right, so this co-teaching folder is actually called a collection. And if I have it highlighted and I say new collection, and I say test folder, it actually creates a folder within co-teaching. Right, so collection is the terminology. And I can move things into my folder here. So let's see. So you see that is in the co-teaching folder and in the test folder, but it's also in the original folder as well. I delete that collection and see if the original, yeah, I never lost it. All right. So instead of creating a folder, let's say I want to identify all these as John's. Right? I've already created a tag that I think is associated with this first item. Yes, John W. All right. I had created a tag. I clicked add and I typed my name, and that tag is now associated with this item, right, and my name. Now, I created all these, so I really want to get credit for doing all that work. So I'm going to expand all this, and I'm going to select everything by shift clicking, and I'm going to drag all this over on top of the John W tag until it highlights. And now all of these items, every single one of them is associated with John W. If I click here, you see the John W tag is there, right? So the first thing you can do to organize is create tags. And essentially this is like a folder. You could think of it like a folder because let's look in the John W folder. Everything is there. right? All right, so that was creating folders. So I would like you to pause the video, try to create a subfolder or a collection within the practice folder, and then probably delete it because, again, it's not going to be that useful. And try to move something in and out of it just to see that it works like regular folders. Pause the video. All right, next thing we're going to do with Zotero is make notes. So we're going to create standalone notes, and we're going to create notes attached to parent items. All right, so what I want you to do is make 2 or 3 notes for each article that you've added. I don't want you to read the articles in depth, just skim a little bit, enough to make a couple notes. So let's see this Austin article here. I'm going to give you a sense of what I mean. All right, as I read this, I find out this is talking about co-teaching and coming from inclusionary education, which is really the genesis of co-teaching. It's moved into other areas since then, but so I might want to make a tag that says, a note. I'm going to add a note. It says inclusion. And let me just look a little bit more about this. I'm going to make a note about whether this is a primary or secondary source item. We're going to talk more about this in future modules, but one way of determining almost all the time whether an article or source is primary or secondary is whether or not it has a methods section. And think about the name of this course, Research Methods. This course is really about how do people figure out the answers to things, what methods do they use in systematic approaches. So articles that have systematic approaches to gathering information usually have a methods section, and that's the giveaway that it's a primary source. If I was to look all through this article and it talked about what we know about co-teaching, but never had a methods section, it probably would be a secondary source. Right, so I'm going to add another note. This is a primary source. Again, we're just practicing taking notes. We're really not reading these articles. Now, if I click the John W., you see that everything here is bold, meaning that they're all associated with that tag, except, I'm not sure if you can see it, but these 2 notes are not bold because I never did associate those with the John W. tag. If I take this over here, now you see it's bold, but inclusion still is not. So anything new you add, whether it's a note or a parent item, won't be associated with the tag until you drag it over there. All right, pause the video. This is going to take you quite a while now. I want you to add 2 or 3 notes for every single citation that you've got in there. So you should have at least 6 citations. You're going to add 2 or 3. So it's going to take you a while. So pause the video, add a bunch of notes only to your items. You should have at this point at least 6 citations, 3 from Google Scholar and 3 from EBSCO, along with full PDFs and notes associated with them, all in this shared folder. You should be able to see my stuff and your stuff and other student stuff that are doing the same thing. Maybe this list of tags is getting pretty long here, and this list of stuff here is getting pretty long here if a lot of students have already done this. All right, next is we're going to work on tags. And tags are one of the most powerful things about Zotero. We're going to have certain requirements for specific tags you're going to be adding to Zotero as you go through the course, but for now, you just need to learn how to use them. All right, there's at least 2 ways to add tags to items. One way is to select the item, click tags, and add a tag, and you just create a name. Let's say I'm going to create a tag here that I want to create a tag for this. Let me see. I'll create a tag that's a secondary source. Good idea. All right. Now, if I click secondary source, and I've done this right, all I'm going to see is this parent item and its children. I'm not going to see anything else because I haven't associated that tag with anything else. All right. Notice that these are grayed out because the children are not associated with the tag, but they are associated with the parent, so I get to see them. If I click it again, it's going to deselect it and everything comes back. You can see that I've done now with the tags is I've identified all of these as things that I've added to the collection, and I can quickly see which are my primary sources and which are my secondary sources. So let me pause the video here, and what I want you to do is create at least one tag that is your name and identify everything you've added to the collection by adding that tag for your name to all the items you've created, and then create 2 or 3 other tags to essentially sort or identify qualities of some of the articles or the notes that you've taken, right? So this is the end of the tutorial. After the video is finished, maybe you want to pause it. Yeah. So this is the end of the tutorial. Perhaps you want to pause the video now, even though you're at the end, so you can go back and review the last bit if need be. But at this point, you need to just create your tags. And so all in all, you'll have your 6 sources, a bunch of notes, and tags for many of those sources and notes. And if this works out right, we should be able to see everybody's building up in this collection, since this is a shared collection for the whole class. All right, hope this experience has helped you get a good handle on starting with Zotero.